Morning, Ayanda. Ayanda, I'm standing on the steps of the St. George's Anglican Cathedral here in Cape Town, and a memorial service is about to begin here. Now, this memorial has been arranged by the Department of International Relations, and various international ambassadors based in this country are converging and meeting here today, where they are going to be paying tribute and honoring the life of Nelson Mandela. With me at the moment, I have veteran journalist and author Zubaydah Jaffa, who spent so much time as a journalist while reporting. She spent lots of time with Nelson Mandela, and she's going to be telling us a few stories. Welcome, Zubaydah.
Thank you, Adrian.
Can you tell me what stands out about Madiba?
Besides the things that have already been said, what struck me most is that he's in body a combination of the original people of South Africa, the Khoisan, and the Amaxhosa. And his mother, from his mother's side, he's Khoisan. From his father's side, he's Amaxhosa. And it's such a strong link that he expressed in so many ways. For example, he chose Jake Skervel as his Director General, as his chief person, and the two of them really, in a lot of what they did, made the decisions to bring together people from the former coloured community and the African community as often as possible. For me, it's a great pity that, especially in the Western Cape, that the people from the coloured community do not fully appreciate that they have brought about one of the greatest leaders of the century, and that they should understand that, and they should feel proud, and they should not just remember the way they were despised and treated badly in the early years of the colonial rule. They were treated like less than animals, really, if you read the history. And it's really, really something that Madiba, I know, was very, very concerned about. Because we are one people, and we need to start understanding that, and that we are all Africans. We belong to this part of the world, and we have to build it up as far as we can.
Zubaydah, you are speaking about reading up on history, and I'm sure lots of people don't fully appreciate because maybe they are ignorant. How do we encourage people to go back and to read up and to learn about where they come from so that they know where to go going forward?
Well, it's a great pity that our education system is so lopsided, because just for example, I've looked at the textbooks at the University of the Free State for the journalism students, and I'm appalled that it doesn't deal adequately with the history of journalism itself, and the fact that our earliest journalists, South African journalists, were around in the 1800s. Now, we as a people, we have to restore our pride and our honor and our dignity, because we have a lot to be proud of. And Madiba, as I said, embodies that. He embodies the fact that from a people who were, as I said, despised and treated like nothing by the colonialists, he rose up and became, our icon. And from this we must draw strength, and we mustn't look elsewhere to be world class. We are world class. And if we're not world class, we are South African class. I mean, we are South African in this part of the world, and we are proud of that.
Zubaydah, you obviously spent lots of time with Nelson Mandela. Any light-hearted stories you can share with us about him?
The strangest experience I had was when I was alone with him on Valentine's Day, the year after the bombing of the Twin Towers. And I'd written a story criticizing him and his support of George Bush at the time. And it took him 5 months of arranging for me to sit with him and to explain to me that he was, why he had decided that and why he had changed his mind. But 5 months after I'd written the story, the moment was gone, everything was gone. And so I sat there here in Bishop's Court, looking at him, thinking it's Valentine's Day, and looking at how beautiful he was, and looking at the mountain behind him and the flowers and looking at his tall form. And, you know, I failed completely as a journalist. I hardly heard what he said because I was just so happy to be with him and so enthralled that I was there on Valentine's Day.
Zubaydah, thank you so much for your time today. Ayanda, back to you guys in the studio.